Hello and welcome to the introduction module of the starting point to remain HIV negative here at hivnegativeub2.ning.com. These are very unique modules because never before in the history of HIV prevention has there ever been such an outreach effort by a single individual and not an HIV agency or an organization, expert or professional, to reach out to HIV negative people on a global scale to help empower them to remain HIV negative. If it wasn't for you remaining HIV negative, then why should we fund HIV prevention programs? So these modules are very unique, very revolutionary, and very visionary and groundbreaking. So in the first module, we'll be discussing choosing to remain HIV negative. In the module number 1, what I'll be discussing is your desire and your freedom of choice to remain HIV negative. Because how can we have successful HIV prevention unless you choose to remain HIV negative? And how do you remain HIV negative? You need to have a desire to remain HIV negative. And that's what we'll be discussing in module number 1. Your desire and your freedom of choice to remain HIV negative. In module number 2, we're going to be discussing getting tested regularly. How can you possibly stop HIV? And how do you have a desire and the freedom of choice to remain HIV negative unless you get tested on a regular basis? You can get tested maybe once in your lifetime and you think you're HIV negative for the rest of your life. That's false, that's misleading, and that's a lie, not only to you, but to society as a whole. So in module number 2, we're going to discuss getting tested regularly for HIV. And only then will you actually be certain that you're HIV negative. You can get tested with your family, friends, you can get tested with your sex partners, but more importantly, when you get tested on a regular basis, you break down the stigma of HIV prevention. You also break down the stigma of being HIV negative, and you can form social support groups within your family and your friends and discussing this. So getting tested for HIV is more than just getting an HIV test. It's the foundation of HIV prevention. And then as we get tested for HIV on a regular basis with your family and your friends, we'll go into module number 3, which is social responsibility. You can't have HIV prevention, you can't have a desire to remain HIV negative unless you get tested, unless you form social support groups, and now we come into social responsibility. Because it's not only to yourself and to your family, friends, sex partners, it's also to the rest of us. It's to me too. You're socially responsible to me. Why? Because I'm HIV positive since the early 1980s. And society has told me for more than 30 years that you're going to stop HIV. Well, guess what? I'm calling your bluff. So it's socially responsible to get tested for HIV and on a regular basis, and we're going to discuss the do's and don'ts of social responsibility. For example, I'm providing you with this website. I'm providing you with this information via these videos. So how come that's right, your local HIV agency, organization, expert, or professional have chosen not to provide you with this information? And yet, you're providing them with funding. I'm not asking you for funding. I'm not asking you to vote for me. I'm not running for a political office. And yet, I'm providing you with this information. They are not. So in module number 3, we're going to be discussing the do's and don'ts of social responsibility when it comes to HIV prevention and testing. Then as we go into social responsibility, which will lead us into module number 4, which is saving money. Simply by staying HIV negative, how much money a year are you saving just by not getting HIV medications and testing? I'm HIV positive. For the rest of my natural born life, I am going to have to get tested. I'm going to have to go in for lab results. I'm going to have to go in for medical treatment, hospital stays, uh, medications. I mean, this costs money. It costs money to become HIV positive. It costs money to maintain my HIV positive, maintain a standard of living. How much money can you save now, annually, just by remaining HIV negative? We're going to be discussing how much money you can save. You can use this money for vacations, colleges, home, family, other expenses. So in module number 4, we're going to be discussing how to save money just by remaining HIV negative. And then finally, in the last module, module number 5, we're going to be discussing our nation's blood supply and organ donors. I'm HIV positive since the early 1980s. For the rest of my life, I can no longer give blood. I can no longer donate organs, even though according to my doctors at the VA hospital here in the Bronx, they say my liver, my kidneys, everything about me medically is perfect for somebody my age. At this time, 2012, I'm 53 years old, except I'm HIV positive. Therefore, when I die, my body gets thrown into the trash can, gets bulldozed over into some landfill, or gets cremated, and my ashes cast off into the winds. But you're HIV negative. You, society relies on you. We need you for blood. I mean, it's plain and simple as that. The Red Cross needs to be aware of this. So in module number 5, we're going to be discussing our nation's blood supply and the organ donors and how you play a vital, critical, life-saving role in all of this. If it wasn't for you, well, how can we continue on?